Hello, my name is Ben Wyatt, and in this video presentation, we'll learn how to use iPadio as a way to record your lecture presentations. Once you record those lecture presentations using iPadio, you'll be provided a URL, which in turn you can embed within Blackboard, or you could email the class the link to that lecture presentation for them to view prior to coming to class. So what exactly is podcasting or flipping the classroom? Flipping the classroom is relatively a new terminology within face-to-face or online learning. Basically, what it circles around is providing the students access to that lecture prior to them coming to class. So by doing that, you'll be spending the whole class period having a healthy discussion with your students instead of lecturing students for 50 or 60 minutes twice a week. This also gives the students to think about the concepts within that particular face-to-face or online course, and then providing them the opportunity to ask more in-depth questions about those concepts during class. So within this video presentation, like I mentioned, we'll be learning how to use iPadio. iPadio is a free app that you can download through the iTunes store, the Android store, or if you don't have a smartphone, you can use the landline phone to record your lecture presentation, which in turn the students will listen to prior to coming to class. So as you can see down below, basically the first step is to record your lecture presentation using the iPadio app. The recording options for this particular app is you can use your landline phone, you can use your computer, or you can even use your smartphone to record the lecture presentation via the iPadio app. Once you record that particular lecture presentation, you have the opportunity to post it to the internet. By doing this, the students will have the opportunity to listen to a lecture presentation, listen to the concepts for that given week, and then come to class more prepared to discuss those concepts and basically providing them the background that they need to have a healthy discussion whenever they do come to class, because they'll have a better understanding of the concepts you plan on explaining to them or talking about in that face-to-face or online course. Once you post it to the internet, you can share it via your Twitter feed. You can share it via an iTunes U channel if that was an option. You can post it via Facebook. So let's say your class has a Facebook group within Facebook. You can share it within Facebook and basically provide them the link. Once they click that link, that will take them to that particular lecture presentation so they can view it prior to coming to class. The benefits of using this type of idea is students can listen to it on their iPad, on their cell phone, or if they're at their personal computer, they can listen to the lecture presentation via their computer. The power of posting items such as this to the internet is pretty overwhelming, because once a particular student listens to the concept, he or she might tell 2 or 3 other students, which in turn will tell 4 or 5 other students, and before you know it, the message that you want your students to listen to will be shareable across the World Wide Web. So once again, that's basically the idea around flipping the classroom, is basically recording your lecture presentation, providing the URL or access to that lecture presentation. Students would listen to the lecture presentation prior to coming to class. During class, you'll have a more in-depth, healthy conversation with the students. And I think most important is, in today's day and age, students, once they graduate college, will be more inclined to have healthy discussions in the work environment because of these opportunities that were presented to them while they were working on their undergraduate or graduate degree. So what is iPadio? Basically, it's the opportunity to record some type of lecture presentation via an iPhone or an old school telephone. Both ways will work just fine. Both ways will definitely give you the opportunity to record some type of lecture presentation via these two alternatives. Like I mentioned earlier, if you don't have an iPhone, if you're on the Android platform, you can download the iPadio app through that store as well. Within the iTunes store, basically you're looking for an app that looks similar to this. There's only one iPadio app out there, so make sure it looks similar, their logo looks similar to the target icon. So as long as you find that particular app, you'll be well on your way to recording your first lecture presentation using iPadio. So once you downloaded that iPadio app to your smartphone, one of the first steps that you have to do is to create a free iPadio account. This is very similar to creating a new email account, or if you're creating some type of Amazon account. It's very similar steps. They just want the basic information: first name, last name, email address. So once you get to the iPadio.com, basically you'd click on this heart right here, and once you click on that heart, the registration screen comes up and will give you the opportunity to put your first name. You'll see a field called surname, which will be more or less the name of this particular channel on Padio's website. So you enter that required information. Once you do this once, you won't be required to do it again. Success. Once you register with iPadio, you'll get this nice email from iPadio. What I want to bring your attention to is, if you don't want to use your smartphone, down below under number 1, they'll provide you a call-in number, so you can use your landline telephone number if you wish to record your lecture presentation. Step number 2, it's very important that you know your PIN. For users who use landline telephone, you will need your PIN whenever you're ready to upload your lecture presentation to the iPadio website. So once you complete those 3 steps, you're ready to record your first lecture presentation using iPadio. So once again, just to go over the steps, once again, you download the app through iTunes or the Android store. You're looking for an app similar to this. The app will look very similar on the Android store as well. Once you've actually downloaded the app to your smartphone, basically you're required to enter your mobile number, country, first name, last name, email address, and then accept the terms and conditions. Once you do this for the first time, you will not be required to do it again. And basically, whenever you're ready to record that lecture presentation, you click on the iPadio app, brings up an interface, and within 2 or 3 clicks, you're recording your first lecture presentation. Once again, just some more information. It's required fields that you need to fill out whenever you do the second step. As far as the interface of iPadio, basically once you kick off iPadio, the app, you have the opportunity to click on record and publish, which will give you the opportunity to record your first lecture presentation. The user interface, step number 4. Once you click on that record button, this is the interface that is visible on your smartphone. Basically, you click that green button, it's called record. Once you click on record, the 0000000 down at the bottom will slowly increase depending on how long that particular lecture presentation is. As far as publishing the podcast, once you get to the end of that particular podcast or lecture presentation, it will tell you how long that particular presentation is. And then you click on pause. Once you click on pause, you have the opportunity to add some tags or more or less give your lecture presentation some type of title. Spinbox, what that does is it's a built-in plugin within iPadio which will transcode that audio format to a text format, so students who prefer reading that particular lecture presentation, they can do that. Basically, they can download that text format, read it word for word, or if they just want to listen to it and read it along with you, they can do that as well. So that's another nice thing that iPadio offers to the end user. Once again, you provide a title in that top empty box. You can add tags, so if your course has a course number IS 560, you can do that. If it's a particular discipline, you can add that in that particular field, but those fields are not required within iPadio whenever you upload it to the iPadio website. Whenever you upload it from the app, you're not required to enter that PIN, but sometimes if you call in via a landline phone, you'll be required to enter your PIN to actually upload it to the iPadio website. What I usually recommend is once you get everything downloaded and set up, just do a couple of practice runs. Kick off the iPadio app, start recording, talking to your phone, kind of like if you're talking to someone else on that particular phone. And that way you get comfortable using the software and go ahead and upload it. And by doing that, that will give you a better sense as far as how the iPadio software works on the cell phone, or if you're using a computer, how it works on the computer. Step 7, you're finished. So basically, once you upload it to the iPadio service, you'll get this nice little welcome screen or screen like you see right here. Basically, you just click on that done button and you're ready to log into the iPadio website via your username and password, so you can get that URL and send it to your students. So once you've recorded your lecture presentation, like I just mentioned, you'll need to log in to the iPadio website. And once you go to the iPadio website, top right hand corner, you'll see a button called Login. You should have your username and password written down in a secure location. Once you enter that information, you'll be presented your podcast or lecture presentation that you just recorded. So once you click on this particular title right here, that will take you to that particular lecture presentation. And then over here on the right hand side, they will provide you the URL for which you will copy and plug in into Blackboard or send it via an email to your class. Once again, sharing the podcast to the world. In order for the students to view this lecture presentation, they would need to know the URL. And option 2, which I think is very slick, the route I would recommend is if your course, online course or face-to-face course, has a Blackboard or some other type of LMS shell, basically where students can log into and access course documents or course projects. You can embed it within lessons within Blackboard. Basically what that does is it plays directly in that lesson, and the students can listen to it via an iPad on their smartphone or via the computer. Just some steps as far as if you want to use that landline phone or if you don't own a smartphone, which is totally fine. Basically, you'll be provided a 1-866 number or 1-800 number whenever you sign up. You saw that within the registration page when you earlier in the presentation. So once you know that number, basically, once you log into the iPadio service, if you for some reason misplace that, once you log into iPadio, you'll have your own call-in number on top right-hand corner as well as your PIN. So for those circumstances where you misplace some documents, you can log in and get access to that information. So once you have that information, basically you call in with the 1-800 number that you're provided, or 1-866 number, and then you'll be prompted to enter that PIN. Once you enter your PIN, basically they'll prompt you to enter a button on the telephone, and then you'll start recording your podcast that way. As far as iPadio, once again, this wraps up the video presentation on how to use iPadio to record a lecture presentation, which in turn your students will listen to prior to coming to class. A couple other ideas associated with iPadio or flipping the classroom. I highly recommend having some type of script to follow as you're recording your lecture presentation, and that way you stay on task and don't get too off topic whenever you're recording your lecture presentation. Two, you want to keep these lecture presentations between 5 and 15 or 20 minutes tops. Students who have to listen to a lecture presentation that is 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or even 60 minutes in length probably will not listen to that full presentation. However, if you do have lecture presentations that are 60 minutes in length, what you can do is a term in online learning is called chunking the information. By chunking the information, you're presenting the students with 3 or 4 different lecture presentations. So part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. Part 1 could be 10-15 minutes, part 2 could be 10 minutes, and research has shown that students are more inclined to listen to those type of presentations as compared to a full 60-minute presentation. With that, thank you for watching this lecture presentation on how to use iPadio to flip your classroom. If you have issues, questions, or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me via email or via Skype. Thanks again.